Tonight on Motor Week, the 900 is dead. Long live the 9.3. Mike Rutherford rants about parking problems and the incredible MV99 concept.
Saab, a name synonymous with safety, reliability, great big bumpers, ABBA, and of course, Sweden. Well, some of those items are behind them because Saab have come a very long way in the past few years and build some very desirable cars now. Cars like this, the new 9.3. Now, hang on a minute, you're thinking, this is a 900 surely. Well, it's not. This is the all-new Saab 9.3 and it's had major revisions over the 900, or so Saab tell us. Now, I've never quite been able to make my mind up about Saab cars. Don't get me wrong, they make some very good cars and I've considered buying one or two over the years, but never quite been able to take the plunge for some reason. Maybe because you think they're not quite in the same league as, say, BMW or Mercedes, but perhaps that's where Saab are actually the winners in all this. Now, thankfully, the days of those huge black bumpers that we saw on the 900 back in the 1980s and early 90s have long gone. These days they're a lot more refined. But of course, safety is still paramount for Saab cars. And I'll never forget the 900 series that my parents-in-law had back in the 1980s. It was comfortable, it was safe, and it was secure. And of course, that's what Saab are hoping for with the new 9.3 to continue those long-held traditions. Now look at this, surely the star of the Saab range, the new 9.3 convertible. It looks visually very similar to the old 900 convertible, but there are one or two changes that you might spot if you look very closely at it. But it is a beautiful looking car, very desirable. The hood is simplicity itself. The same hood that Mercedes used on their cabriolets and convertibles from years gone by. And it's so simple, it all folds neatly back into the rear. The windows go down, and it's open top motoring at its best. Now the 9.3 comes in a choice of three different styles, as with the 900 that it replaced. There's the 3-door, a 5-door and this 3-door convertible too. Plus of course you get a choice of 4 different engines, more about that later. Prices start from £16,500, rising to just over £30,000 for something like this, the SE convertible that's got everything on it. Trim is very good too, generally anyway. You get 3 different trim levels. There's standard, there's an S and an SE. And something like this, the 9.3 SE convertible, has basically everything on it. Although one thing that the standard car doesn't have on is an alarm, which is rather surprising. It's got an immobiliser, but no alarm on a car costing £16,500. Rather mean. So let's see if the revisions that Saab say they've made to the 9.3 over the existing 900 series really work and really come into play. Let's take this gorgeous 9.3 turbo convertible for a spin. John, you're showing us the new 9.3 here today. A lot of people would think, what's the difference between the 900 and the new 9.3? Perhaps you can just run through some of the main points in the evolution of the 9.3.
Yes, I mean, it reminds you of the old saying, don't judge a book by its cover. We've made a few external changes. The bumper treatments and the grille, front and rear, are different. But it's really the changes under the skin on 9.3 which I think are significant. We've remodelled a lot of the front suspension, the front struts and the dampers, and we've got more spring travel. What this adds up to on the road, we think, is a more compliant ride and more direct, quicker steering as well. And we think it's quite an advance over 900.
Now, you'll obviously be looking for original 900 customers to come into the 9.3. Who else do you think you might pull in terms of from other brands?
Well, we certainly think we've got a competitive proposition here for the BMW drivers, Audi drivers. But we know with 900 a lot we're also trading up from some of the volume brands. So we think we've got a more attractive proposition here.
And how do prices compare up against either the other brands and over the old 900 range?
Well, we've done a lot of competitor analysis in terms of pricing and equipment you get in the car, and we know, as I think we've demonstrated today, that pricing-wise it undercuts, we think, most of the competition. There are a lot of important standard items in our cars which we may have to pay for as extras with other competitors without going into a lot of detail. On average, as the car stands, it's about 2.5% more than 900. But if you add in the price and the improvement in specifications, you could argue it's really not gone up at all. So we're maintaining our position in the market as offering something which we think is very competitive.
Now, what about pricing over the original 900 and over your competitors? How does the new 9.3 compare up?
Well, we think, of course, it compares very favourably. We really do have a very high level of standard specification in our cars, and there are many items, electric windows and the like, alarm immobilisers, which we may have to pay extra for. We've done the analysis, and we do know, certainly as regards our major competitors, religion sometimes forbids me mentioning names, but certainly BMW and Audi, we are, I think, significantly better value than those. And we'll be getting customers, as we always do, from those marques, and also the other end, the volume end of the market, people trading up, I think, can be attracted into these cars.
The car's steering, ride and handling are all considerably improved, taking the dynamics of 9.3 much closer to 9.5 levels. On the steering, they've strengthened the rack mountings and reduced the steering gear ratio. On the road, that gives the driver a quicker, more direct and precise response. They've now fitted an hydraulic clutch across the whole range, and again that improves feel and control for the driver and eases the process of gear changing. Saab being Saab, their engineers are always keen to improve levels of safety, and 9.3 has two important new features. First, those front seats have a real safety bonus. They're fitted with interactive head restraints, just like the 9.5s. These restraints give useful protection against neck whiplash, which is the most common type of road injury. And the value of that feature was recently recognised when Saab won the Prince Michael Road Safety Award for technical innovation. The other important safety improvement is the standard fitment of twin-section side impact airbags, giving both head and chest protection. The big news under the bonnet of the new 9.3 is the introduction of Saab's first ever diesel engine. They haven't had one before because, frankly, they didn't believe a diesel could offer the level of refinement that they required. Well, all that has now changed with the arrival of a 2.2-litre direct injection turbo diesel with 4 valves per cylinder and dual overhead camshafts, and it delivers both strong performance and good economy, 0 to 60 in just over 10 seconds, and a combined cycle of 42 miles per gallon, and cruising will return over 52 miles per gallon. Now, Saab tell us that there are over 1,100 changes on the new 9.3 over the original 900 series, and most of those changes you can't see and you won't know about. They're there under the skin, so to speak. But they have improved the brakes, the suspension, the handling. All round, the 9.3 is a better car than the 900, so they tell us anyway. It's very difficult for us to judge on a quick test like we have today whether that is in fact true. Now, this, of course, is the new 9.3 convertible I'm driving at the moment. And, of course, the old 900 convertible is a car that did wonders for Saab's image. It was a car to be seen in, very chic, very stylish. Lots of people wanted them, and they sold tremendously well for Saab. This is the 2-litre turbo that I'm driving at the moment, and of course it has that wonderful Saab turbo engine. When you put your foot down hard, you get such a kick in the backside. It's great to drive. Now, there's no doubt that the new Saab 9.3 is a far better car than the 900 series it replaces, not to diminish, of course, the 900 series. And that can only help bring a whole new breed of consumers into the Saab name, perhaps from BMW, from Mercedes and from Audi, and who knows where else. And also the advent of that new Saab turbo diesel engine, a first, remember, for them. That 2.2 turbo diesel engine can only help bring a whole new breed of customers to the Saab brand.
Here we are on one of my regular runs into the centre of London from the suburbs. Quite often I'll do this journey by train, but today it's a bit of a special day and there's reasons why I need my car tonight. We're carrying some gear, so I'll drive in. That's what it's all about, isn't it? If I want to drive in, I should be allowed to drive in. If I want to take a train because I want to read or do some work, or if I don't have anything to carry, then I should be allowed to take the train in. And the choice should be mine, shouldn't it? Should we really need a council, a government, a Department of Transport, a highways agency, the parking director for London, the traffic director for London, all these people telling me what I should and shouldn't do? Is that what we've come to? Can't we just allow adults to decide for themselves? You know, tax-paying adults that put an enormous amount of money into the economy. Can't we just let them decide for themselves whether they want to leave their car at home and take the public transport, or occasionally take the cars in if it suits them better? If they're coming home late that evening, if they're carrying stuff, if they're picking other people up perhaps and giving several people a lift in a car. And of course, at the moment, it's only a case of pressure being put on people like me. In the future, it won't just be pressure. I'll be forced off the road if these lunatics, these anti-car fundamentalists get their way. And what they're talking about doing is, of course, introducing a city charge, which means that people like me won't be able to drive into the city as I want to today, because there will be barriers literally preventing people like me from driving in. Seems to me that we, the motorists, pay for the roads, and yet somebody else comes along and decides that the roads we've paid for we shouldn't be able to use. But has anybody ever thought this? That if you do have city centre bans, here we are just on the fringe of the city centre, what are people going to do? They're going to drive this car and they're going to park their cars in areas like this. So all you're going to have around the fringe of every city is an enormous car park. All these residents in these flats and apartments around here will find, like they've never found before, cars clogging up their streets because they can't drive any further. People don't want to park around here and take the bus or the tube or whatever in the rest of the way. Not that there is a tube around here. They want to drive all the way through. They want to park their car in the city. They may even have a parking space under their building in the city. But instead of that, there's talk of preventing us from driving into the city, which means we'll drive as far as this, park our cars, and leave all these people around here with the burden of millions of parked cars that they weren't expecting and shouldn't expect. And what's more, millions of cars that are not designed to be parked up on roads like this, cars that should be moving, cars that shouldn't be clogging up the traffic, cars that should be just getting on with their journey and going to their final destination. Am I wrong?
After the break, the MV99 concept, and Goffey drives Audi on Motor Week. We saw it first at the Tokyo Motor Show, the MV99 concept vehicle, the first of a new generation of MPVs. Now Honda says that later this year, an MPV very closely resembling this concept will go on sale, and have given Motor Week further details, although the interior is still very much a concept, showing the way technology is moving forward.
Let's take a look inside. The interior of the MV99 is designed to provide worldwide video conferencing capabilities via a global communications network and overhead monitors. Each of the 4 bucket seats feature airflow ventilation controls. The front passenger seat and 2 center bucket seats are fully articulating and swivel 180 degrees. The armrests of each passenger seat retract into the seat back for maximum flexibility, or fold down and contain their own personal data processing center and individual monitoring screens. The driver of the MV99 is allowed to concentrate on the task at hand by a wraparound control and instrument panel. The wraparound panel allows for complete access to the GPS navigation system, entertainment center, and environmental climate controls. The heads-up display unit is projected above the aircraft-style driving controls and is surrounded by monitors featuring the real-time video provided from side and rear view cameras. The rear seating area of the MV99 provides an executive lounge setting or converts into additional meeting space. It provides extensive storage space and drawers, and the rear package shelf houses the satellite digital antenna. The interior of the one-of-a-kind Honda MV99 is designed to provide maximum flexibility and versatility, traits the production model will share. The MV99 is also equipped with front-wheel drive, a V6 engine, and dual power sliding side doors. Other features it has in common with the production model. The MV99 is 196 inches long and rides on a 117.5-inch wheelbase. Both measurements are close to those of the production minivan, making the new production model the largest vehicle ever made by Honda. It'll be built on a new assembly line currently under construction at Honda's plant in Alliston, Ontario, which is near Toronto. So that's the Honda MV99 minivan concept vehicle. A hint at what will be and a look at what might be.
It's almost 20 years since the first Audi Avant appeared, a 5-door version of the 100 and 200 models that somehow managed to avoid the tacked-on estate car back end of an existing saloon. And that's a tradition that's been maintained up to the present day. The Avant is still an integrated styling approach, a model in its own right. Now this is the latest in the line. The A6 Avant goes on sale this spring. The old model was a real load carrier. It had a long rear overhang behind the rear wheels, a lot of space. This car is in fact no longer than the saloon version, but there's still an awful lot of space. It's exceptionally well trimmed. It's hardly the car for a Welsh sheep farmer, far too svelte for that. You get a load cover to keep your valuables away from prying eyes, and these excellent load nets that make sure that loose items in the back don't catch you in the back of the neck in an emergency. And it's fitted with roof rails for the mountain bikes, the windsurfers and the hang gliders, the sort of thing that Audi would have you associate with the image of this car. Inside, beautifully trimmed as you'd expect for a car in the executive class. Airbags poised to explode at you from every side. There's one in each door as well as the passenger and driver's side. Interestingly, only one cup holder. What's the driver supposed to do if his passenger's drinking a Coke? Climate control as standard. You can adjust the temperature for both passenger and driver's side, and all the executive toys you'd expect, which multiply as you go up the price range from £24,000 to £31,000. No surprises in the Audi on the move. We've come to expect easy to drive, smooth and relatively quiet cars. The Avant is no exception, although a bit more perhaps tyre noise than you'd get in the saloon, and that's due to these cavernous spaces behind the driver. Driver position is very good. You can adjust the steering wheel. There's electric control of seat height as standard and not an extra, and the seats, to use the dreadful old cliche, supportive. Sophisticated in-car entertainment as standard, but I'm very disappointed to find that there's no controls for the radio up here on the steering wheel. My pet fear is always looking down to fumble with the radio and look up just in time to have ERF engraved on your forehead. Nicely laid out instrument panel and great big dials for speedo and rev counter. That's useful as the driving population gets over the age of 50 and their close-up eyesight starts to fail. Germans have always gone for uniformly black interiors, and research said it made people feel depressed after a while. They're starting to change a bit, little elements of grey here and there, and the roof lining is light grey, but there's an awful lot of black still in here. This car also gets electronic brake force distribution and electronic differential lock and anti-skid regulator traction control. In other words, Audi are determined you're not going to play the lunatic in their car. The Avant gets the same complicated spread of engines that Audi insist on offering. The 1.8 turbo, the 2.4 V6, a 2.8 V6, and later on a 2.7 twin turbocharger high-performance version. In addition, there's 2 diesel engines. It must be the part manager's nightmare. And you can have front-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, 5-speed manual, 6-speed manual, or a 5-speed automatic. Pays your money, takes your choice. It's an indication of Audi's attention to detail that the stylists were not happy with the saloon car's windscreen and A-pillars. They didn't quite blend with the shape of the Avant. So, at enormous cost on the production line, this car has different, more steeply raked pillars and a completely different windscreen. Audi have been looking for a more dynamic image for a younger customer base over the last 5 years, and the plan seems to be working. As one manager said to me not so long ago, it's been like launching a new franchise.